I think the Dallas Cowboys will give him a pretty good game.
Darren Shager, look at that per average today. Over 43 yards. Jay Dumas standing back at the 28. Cougars look like they're going to rush everybody. They've got 10 men on the defensive front, and here they come. It's blocked. Henderson. And it'll be covered at the 1-yard line, where the Cougars will take the football. Terrell Henderson came so close to Shager's second punt today. Missed it by an eyelash. Didn't miss it this time.
Well, you've been calling it all day long. They've been getting close. They got it that time. And Mike Price told us yesterday that his players come off the field and they talk to him. They tell him when they can do something. And you can be certain that they went back and said, we can make this play. Henderson said, I can get there. Watch him make this great block. Gets his hands out there all over the ball. UCLA is in tremendous trouble right now. And Washington State is on the verge of going up by 13 or 14 points, Phil.
Sparks and Hicks are the setbacks from the 1-yard line. It's Hicks. And he will high step it in. Outrunning Teddy Lawrence to the corner. And with just over a minute to play, Washington State has scored their second touchdown. They're going to go for 2.
Yeah, they should. They should go for 2 here. Well, you know, we were at the hotel yesterday with the Washington State players, and some of them were talking the talk. Well, right now, Hicks is walking the walk. He gets into the end zone here, high steps at the end. Teddy Lawrence, number 2, doesn't have a chance to make the play. 12-0 Washington State, and they're going for 2 right now.
Now, Rod, if you're the offensive coordinator, John McDonnell of Washington State, what are you calling right now on this 2-point conversion?
Well, I like my quarterback right now. He is so mobile and feeling so good. I'd roll him out a little bit and give him some options. If he can't find anything, let him run it in.
Tight end now lines up to the right side. The setback is Sparks. In motion, Dumas. Oh, ran the option, and they made it count. Oh, another country heard from. Cougars put Jay Dumas in motion. Looked like an option, and you called it, Rod.
Well, this guy's confidence, number 12, Chad Davis, is soaring right now. He's led this team beautifully in the first half. He's the guy you want to have handling the ball down here. He's making good decisions today, and that time takes it into the end zone for a 2-point conversion. 14-0 Washington State.
Washington State in one play moves 1 yard.
And Phil, this is clearly the best Chad Davis has played this season. Watching him on tape, I think Mike Price and everyone else had some concerns about just how many points Washington State could score. But the running game has come around today, and Davis has been pin perfect, really, throwing the ball, and has made good decisions as to when to run the football and scramble.
On the other side, Terry Donahue certainly not caring at all for what he is seeing thus far. There's Bob Toledo on the right, his offensive coordinator. Yeah, you get the feeling that through the remainder of this first half, and certainly in the second half, Rod, that UCLA has got to get those slants and screens that Bob Toledo talked to us about yesterday working.
They have to get some continuity. They don't have it right now.
That's Ayers. Fumbles the football, now moves it out across the 20, and is really pounded out at the 22. The flag's down back at the 14-yard line. Robert Booth with a devastating hit on Derek Ayers. Flag back down at the 14-yard line. And we got a hold.
Got him for a blocking in the back on the return. That was a heck of a hit by Booth. Oh.
There was a block in the back, above the waist, during the return, half the distance to the goal line, first down 10.
Yeah, so that'll move the ball back inside the 10, way inside the 10, near the 7. It'll be first down and 10. UCLA 93 yards away from the end zone, and they need a score.
Well, with 59 seconds to go, I think it makes more sense for UCLA to just run out this clock, go in and regroup at halftime, because this defense is really confident right now, and I'd be concerned about a turnover that could put this thing out of reach for UCLA.
Kevin Jordan is wide to the left. Mike Wynn in the slot to the left side. To the near side, it is Brian Adams. Straight ahead it goes. That's Darren Washington, the senior left half, and he runs head-on into Chad Eaton and Don Sasa. And now we've got a timeout called.
That should be a timeout by Washington State.
Indeed it is.
And that's a good decision by Price.
Yeah, from Mike's look right there, I'm not sure he called that timeout. 49 seconds to play. Washington State with a touchdown in the first quarter, and they got one a moment ago on a block punt that was taken out of bounds at the 1-yard line, and in one play the Cougars punched it in. Friday night before your weekend of American football, watch Australian style football on Prime. Live from Melbourne, it's the Super Bowl of Australian football. Don't miss the Australian Rules Grand Final Friday night at midnight on most Prime affiliates. Well, through the first 29 minutes and 21 seconds, just take a look. Domination by Washington State.
Well, Terry Donahue told us yesterday that he thought the Washington State defense was better than the Nebraska defense, and UCLA ran up some 400+ yards against Nebraska, only 99 in the first half here against Washington State. So maybe Terry Donahue is absolutely correct.
Now, thus far, it certainly looks like it. Let's go down to Paul Sunderland. Paul.
Well, as you might understand, a lot of whooping it up here over on the Washington State sideline. And the Palouse Posse has been everything that they were advertised to be. If they can get through this next 49 seconds, that's 12 straight quarters without a touchdown scored against them. Second best in history at Washington State. Team in 1941 went 16 straight quarters. Back to you.
Washington and Shaw are the setbacks. Cook changing the play, the audible at the 9-yard line. That's Hicks. Correction. That is Sharmon Shaw as he moves the ball out to the 24. And on that run, Sharmon Shaw becomes the first opposing running back to go over 25 yards in a game this year against this great defense.
Amazing. You were thinking about Skip Hicks, who's out for maybe a season for UCLA. They'd like to redshirt him with his knee injury he's trying to recover from, and so Sharmon Shaw steps in to do a great job so far this year for UCLA.
Cook looking deep, goes to the far side and overthrows Jordan. Coverage by Torrey Hunter. He had the step on the break to the sideline, and Cook just let him a bit too much. Now Cook thus far 7 of 15 for 84 yards coming in. Wayne Cook had hit 63% of his passes this year.
Funny thing happens to quarterbacks when you have defensive linemen and linebackers living in your backfield. It makes it a little bit tougher for you to be accurate.
Avery Anderson now in the ball game. He's wide right. Cook pumps once, sets up the screen to the far side. It is caught. That's Darren Washington, but he's not going to go anywhere. Chris Hayes. He's a junior linebacker out of San Bernardino. Rod, he's the smallest of all the Washington State linebackers at 6 feet, 202 pounds.
Yeah, and how about that? You know, it's one of those things where when one guy starts making tackles and getting hits, and everybody starts getting, it's like, you know, being in a baseball game is contagious. Hitting is contagious. And hitting on the defensive side of the field is also contagious.
The Bluebirds are flying here at the Rose Bowl. It's halftime with Washington State leading at 14-0. Let's go to Glenn Walker for College Football Today's halftime report. Glenn.
Thank you, Phil, and welcome to the College Football Today halftime report. We have one of the greatest finishes in the history of college football coming up, but first the rest of the Pac-10. The Washington Huskies shared the national title with Miami back in 1991, and today, in their first meeting, the Huskies traveled to the Orange Bowl, hoping to end the Canes' 58-game home win streak. The Orange Bowl, of course, has been a graveyard for visiting teams. Third quarter, 14-3 Miami. But the Huskies get a wake-up call. Damon Ewert dumps it to Richard Thomas. He'll bust a couple of tackles, and he is off to the races. He's going to go 75 yards for the touchdown. That made it 14-11. Miami still with the lead. Next possession for Miami, Frank Costa lets it fly. Russell Hairston picks it off. He's going to go 34 yards for the touchdown. Huskies with an 18-14 lead. Washington driving into third. This time, Ewert takes it himself, fumbles at the 1, but Robert Sapp recovers in the end zone, and the Huskies end Miami's 58-game home win streak at the Orange Bowl. The final score was 38-20. Miami had not lost since September of 1985. What about number 8 Arizona in Palo Alto to take on the Stanford Cardinal? Dick Tomey's team looking to shut down that high-powered offense. Their own offense looking pretty good. Antoine Carter, 10 yards for the touchdown, 7-0 Arizona. Second quarter, Dan White will hit Richard Dice in the corner of the end zone, 14-0 Cats. Fourth quarter, the Desert Swarm defense comes through. Tony Bowie picks Steve Stenstrom. He's going to race 49 yards for another Cat touchdown, and Arizona wins it going away in Palo Alto. The final score, Arizona 34, Steve Stenstrom and Stanford lose. They only score 10 points. The Cal Bears on the winning track. They come back to knock off Arizona State. 2 touchdowns in the last 7.5 minutes. They win it 25-21. And Oregon all over Iowa, who was blown out last week at Penn State. The final there was 40-18. And when the halftime report continues, you don't want to touch that dial. Remember the Doug Flutie Hail Mary? This Hail Mary, we've got one that may be even better. Coming up when the halftime report continues right here on Prime Network.
Ohio, Texas, parts from 237 suppliers in 31 states. They all come together right here in Georgetown, Kentucky, in the Toyota Camry. Built by Americans at a plant recently given the J.D. Power & Associates Gold Plant Quality Award for the 2nd consecutive year. With this kind of craftsmanship, all the pieces fit together beautifully. The 1994 Toyota Camry.
How about a burger, baby?
I don't want no burger. I sat down with the clown today. I want a fresh, delicious sandwich like the submarines that they serve at Subway. I don't want no greasy chicken. Don't want my dinner from a big machine. I want to savor everybody. I want to treat tonight. I want a Subway sub shop submarine.
After 5 p.m., buy any regular footlong and soda and get the second footlong for 99 cents.
Watch USC football all season long on Prime Ticket. The Baylor Bears visit the Coliseum to take on the Trojans tonight, live at 7.
Located in the heart of Hollywood, Pennsylvania Builder Supply is the store for contractors and serious do-it-yourselfers. Our knowledgeable and experienced staff will get you in and out with what you need, quickly and efficiently. Pennsylvania Builder Supply has everything you need for earthquake foundation bolting, chimney repair and chimney rebuilding, including metal flue systems. For the largest selection in the area of masonry supplies, brick, block, stucco, plaster, builder's hardware, and more. Pennsylvania Builder Supply on Santa Monica Boulevard, 2 blocks east of Highland in Hollywood.
Brea Chrysler Jeep, your minivan headquarters, announces its huge year-end minivan clearance sale. This isn't one of those only one in stock sales. We've got hundreds of loaded brand new minivans to choose from, with prices starting at just $15,995 after rebate, or super low 3.9 financing, and special leases available for 24 months. Discover why more people choose Chrysler minivans over all the others. Hurry into La Brea Chrysler Jeep's huge year-end minivan clearance sale at the corner of 4th and La Brea, just south of Melrose.
Welcome back to the halftime report. 4th-ranked Michigan and number 7 Colorado squared off today in Ann Arbor, and this one went back and forth coming down to the final play, and it was certainly a dandy. Let's go to Michigan Stadium. Third quarter, Michigan up 20-14. Todd Collins goes deep to Amani Toomer, who hauls it in, 65 yards for the score. It was 26-14. CU trailed 26-21, 6 seconds left. Keith Jackson with the call.
Stewart with time. Lets it go. He's got 3 people down there. The ball's up in the air. Caught! Touchdown! Caught by Westbrook for a touchdown! Always looking for the rebound.
Here's the replay. An unbelievable catch by Michael Westbrook on the deflection. What an ending. Shades of Doug Flutie to Gerald Phelan. Colorado wins a thriller 27-26 at Michigan Stadium. Unbelievable finish, and I would have to say that Cordell Stewart is now the leading candidate for the Heisman Trophy after what he did last week against Wisconsin. Number 5 Penn State hosting Rutgers in Happy Valley. The Lions beaten up on the Scarlet Knights. First quarter, Heisman candidate Kajana Carter, 22 yards for the score. It was 13-0 Nittany Lions. Second half, Penn State puts it away. Kerry Collins back to pass. Freddie Scott makes the catch. Are they going to catch him? He's to the 30. They might have the angle. No, sir. He goes 82 yards for 6. Penn State routs Rutgers 55-27 was the final score. Penn State is averaging 52.5 points in their 4 victories this season. Number 2, Nebraska rolls over the Tigers of Pacific. The final score 70-21. Brooke Behringer, 3 touchdown passes, 1 touchdown run. Tommy Frazier only played the first 2 series. They scored 2 touchdowns, and then he was out of the ball game. Florida State and North Carolina in the first quarter. It is now tied at 7. Florida State scored on their opening drive, but Leon Johnson has scored from a yard out for North Carolina, and this one is all tied up. Purdue taking on Notre Dame, a very wet South Bend, Indiana. Second quarter action. Ron Paulus looking for someone to throw to. Charles Stafford with the tough catch. Irish with a 10-0 lead. Second half. Ray Zellers takes the handoff. What an effort. Bulls over Reggie Johnson. Does a little hurdle action. And he goes 62 yards for the touchdown. The Irish beat up on Purdue, who had problems turning over the wet football. The final score was 39-21. Kinder, 143 yards rushing. Zellers ended the day with 156. I guess they didn't miss Lee Becton. After break, we'll head south where the Tennessee Volunteers' bad luck continues. Stay with us.
You're watching the Coors Light Channel.
We're in the middle of a non-stop commercial sweep with no program interruption.
Funny. Ed never has a second beer at home.
Ed knows that Coors Light is the smooth, refreshing beer.
Some things just don't go together. Drink safely.
Coors Light is the smooth, refreshing beer with an unusually good, clean taste.
When it's convenient, why don't you pick up a case?
The Coors Light Channel, always on.
This quality time was made possible by GMAC. With financing and leasing that can be arranged for your new GM vehicle fast, right at the dealership. Because GMAC believes you should be out enjoying your new car instead of waiting for it to be financed. GMAC, the expressway home.
When you're active, your body heat increases.
15 or 20 times.
You become dehydrated.
As soon as 30 minutes.
You lose fluids.
Up to 2 quarts of sweat per hour.
But more than anything else, you get thirsty. Gatorade Thirst Quencher.
Drink it.
No other beverage enters the bloodstream faster and rehydrates you better.
Chug it.
Nothing quenches a deep down body thirst better.
Scientifically tested, athletically proven.
Gatorade Thirst Quencher.
It's gotta be Gatorade.
1927, construction begins at the new campus at Westwood.
In 1944, the School of Engineering was founded.
1949, UCLA wins its first NCAA championship. It was in tennis.
1991, UCLA is the most ethnically diverse top-ranked university in the United States.
In 1994, UCLA celebrated the 75th anniversary of its founding.
Happy anniversary, UCLA.
Back on the halftime report, and the once promising season for the Tennessee Volunteers is just about over with. Last week's 31-0 loss to top-ranked Florida has been followed by an upset loss at Mississippi State, and the Vols also lost another starting quarterback. This week it is Todd Helton. Of course, they lost Jerry Colquitt on their very first series of the season against UCLA. So enter Peyton Manning, son of Archie. He hits Kendrick Jones, and look at the 2 defenders take themselves out of the play. 76 yards for the touchdown. The Vols led this one 7-0. It was 21-17 Tennessee with under a minute to play. 4th and goal from the 2. Derek Tate will find his tight end Kendall Watkins for the touchdown, and Mississippi State pulls the upset, making Jackie Sherrill very happy. They win it by a final score of 24-21. Michael Davis rushed for 120 yards and a touchdown. Peyton Manning 2 touchdown passes in a losing cause. Auburn extends that long winning streak to 15 now, 38-0 over East Tennessee State. Alabama had all they could handle against the Green Wave of Tulane, but they win it by a score of 20-10. Sherman Williams, a career-high 191 yards rushing, and number 12 Texas A&M over Southern Miss. In the 4th quarter, the score is 41-10. Indiana taking on Wisconsin in the Big Ten. Darrell Bevel and the Badgers out to defend their Big Ten title. They got blown out last week at Colorado, and Bevel had the hot hand. First quarter, he goes to Tony Simmons, 38 yards for the touchdown. Bevel a perfect 13 for 13 in the first half. Badgers also good on the ground. Terrell Fletcher goes 54 yards on this play. He's going to get in there. He and Brent Moss both went over 100 yards, and Wisconsin rolls to a 62-13 victory. They scored touchdowns on their first 6 possessions of the afternoon. Ohio State all over the Houston Cougars. The final there, 52-0. Houston shut out for the 2nd straight game. North Carolina State taking on Western Carolina. They lead it in the 2nd quarter, 21-0. Maryland wins it in the ACC over Wake Forest. The final there, 31-7. Georgia Tech falls to the Duke Blue Devils 27-12. Robert Baldwin, 41 carries, 162 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Georgia by a field goal over Ole Miss down in the Southeastern Conference. Eric Zier, a couple of touchdown passes. Kentucky taking on South Carolina, and the Gamecocks lead this one 10-9 in the second quarter. Michigan State, they just barely lost to Notre Dame last week. They come back to beat Miami of Ohio 45-10. Kansas 72, Alabama, Birmingham, zilch. Oklahoma State taking on Tulsa, and it is tied at 7 in the second quarter. Rice over Iowa State, 28-18 the final there. Rice 372 yards on the ground, 423 total offense for them. Texas Tech, the Red Raiders, 35-7 over Southern Methodist. Texas Tech has won the last 6 meetings in that series. Boston College, their first win of the season over Pittsburgh. They take it by a score of 21-9. Temple edges by Army by a field goal, 23-20 was the final there. And Syracuse over East Carolina, the final score 21-18. After another timeout, more scores when the halftime report continues.
The time has finally come for the cordless power roller from Wagner. Now you control the flow of paint. So the Wagner power roller can cut jobs in half. Smoothly and evenly, it can cover areas twice as fast. And cleanup is a snap. So you can finish one job and do another. Get your hands on a real value, because the value of Wagner keeps on rolling.
There's a special quality about the professors at Washington State University. They're at WSU because they care about teaching and about students learning in and out of the classroom. They know the joys of discovery and the importance of putting knowledge to work, imparting it to the world through their students. It's a little different, maybe a little better. Washington State University, it really is something special.
First anniversary, paper. Second, China. Third, crystal. This year, we're celebrating our 5th anniversary. But you don't have to give us anything. The zero-down 36-month lease for the Lexus LS. It's the perfect gift, available only at your participating Southern California Lexus dealer.
Are we gonna blast to the past? Yeehaw!
People magazine calls Time Cop clever and original. It's America's #1 movie. Suspenseful and fun, with special effects that will leave you breathless.
You get him!
This one is mine. Jean-Claude Van Damme is a genuinely heroic action hero in a thriller, mystery, and love story all rolled into one. Time Cop, rated R. Now playing at theaters everywhere.
We knew something was up. The foreman wanted to see us right away. They say nobody wins the lottery? Oh, yeah?
What are we going to do? Don't get it wet. We'll put it in the freezer. No, under the closet. In the bed. I got it.
What's that?
What if it gets wet? What if there's a flood?
$5
What if the
million.
roof leaks? The plumbing breaks. What do you think?
This season, the big story in the WAC is taking place in Fort Collins. The Colorado State Rams, undefeated coming into today's game against San Diego State. They had a 12-10 lead when Anthony Hill, looking deep, finds Eric Olson in the end zone. 34 yards, Rams up 19-10, but the Aztecs would get it back. Wayne Pittman will break a couple of tackles, runs it in from 17 yards out. Great effort. San Diego State still trailed by 2. 9 seconds left. Aztecs with the chance to win it. Peter Holt from 52 yards kicks it wide right. Colorado State remains undefeated. They win it by a score of 19-7. Hill ran for a touchdown and passed for another. Brigham Young over New Mexico State, 49-47. Typical WAC game there in the game you're watching here on Prime. Washington State with a 14-0 lead over UCLA. I'm Glenn Walker. Enjoy the second half.
Watch USC football all season long on Prime Ticket. The Baylor Bears visit the Coliseum to take on the Trojans tonight, live at 7.
I was shocked to learn that most ordinary credit cards charge interest from the moment you buy something, if you carry a balance as little as $1. Thankfully, American Express has introduced a new credit card called the Optima True Grace Card. You get an interest-free grace period on each new purchase, even when you carry a balance. It's a good thing. But don't just throw away your old credit cards. Recycle them. I'm retiling my pool. Apply today and cut your interest charges.
Introducing a music store that gives you what other music stores don't. Power. The power to hear all of any CD in the store. The power to hear any CD as long as you want, as loud as you want. And the power to know what you're buying before you buy it. The new Blockbuster Music. The power to hear it all.
Late afternoon at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, where the Washington State Cougars out in front of the 7-point favorite UCLA Bruins by a count of 14-0. And I don't think I'm terribly surprised by the 14-0 Cougar halftime lead, Rod, as much as I am perhaps UCLA's play selection in the first half.
Well, I think part of the reason for that is that the Washington State defense is dictating what UCLA can do offensively. UCLA cannot run the ball up the middle. They cannot run wide. And they haven't been able to get it to the tackle area. So Sharman Shaw has been very quiet, and J.J. Stokes has been hampered. He hasn't been able to run well, and Kevin Jordan hasn't seen that many balls. So Washington State is really dominating UCLA's offense.
And, of course, Washington State's offense, which coming into this ballgame was a bit suspect, got rolling in the first quarter, and it got rolling in a big, big way in period number 1. Kearney Adams, he's a slot back. Just watch what he does against this UCLA defense. He comes to the near side, clears out the zone, and Kearney Adams turns it upfield. And he just outraces the UCLA secondary. The pickup is 43 yards. He goes out of bounds at the 2-yard line.
And at the 2-yard line, Kevin Hicks, one play later, takes the ball and finishes off that drive with a 3-yard powering run over the left side to give Washington State a 6-0 lead. Washington State was unable to convert a 2-point conversion.
In the second quarter, UCLA missed a field goal, and then Terrell Henderson. As you see this one sail wide to the left. That kept it 6-0. And then watch what happened. Darren Shager got a good snap. Washington State, a huge rush, and there's Henderson. He's all over the Shager punt. The ball goes out of bounds at the 1-yard line, right there. Washington State took it over.
With this man, once again, number 23, Kevin Hicks, finishes off this run, high-stepping into the end zone past Teddy Lawrence to give Washington a 12-0 lead.
And they capped it off with a 2-point conversion right here, Rod. Chad Davis, the keeper, they ran the option. And that made it 14-0 Washington State, and that is where we stand. You look at rushing yardage. When's the last time you saw a Bruin offense with 27 yards rushing in the first half?
Yeah, and really no turnovers by either team except for the block punt by Washington State, which set up the second score. But UCLA, yeah, amazing. They had over 400 yards against Nebraska last week, and Washington State has shut UCLA down totally.
Yeah, we heard at the outset when we met with Mike Price yesterday of Washington State. He said, I think we can play well against UCLA. Conversely, when we talked with UCLA's brain trust yesterday over at UCLA's campus in Westwood, they feared this Washington State defense.
Well, part of the problem, too, is that UCLA's offensive line has been banged up. They've lost a couple of starters, and so they haven't been real good in the line play.
Now, let's go down on the sidelines now, and Paul Sunderland. Paul?
Phil, Rodney, we wanted to talk to UCLA coach Terry Donahue. Obviously disappointed with the first half performance and has business to attend to. And I think the business should be establishing something. They ran the ball pretty well with Sharman Shaw and then threw it pretty well to Kevin Jordan, but could not find any consistency. I think if you want to go at Washington State's defense, you've got to do it first on the ground to establish some time for Wayne Cook to drop back, take some time, find some receivers, and throw the football. Remember we talked about Chad Davis at the beginning of the football game, he being the key and how he would grade out. I'll tell you, in my mind so far, he's an A+ for Washington State as they look very good in the first half, offensively and defensively. Back to you.
All right, Paul. Well, indeed, you are right. Chad Davis, 10 of 14 for 124 yards. We're set to go. Washington State to kick it away. And it'll come to the near side. That's Ayers out across the 20. And he moves the pile across the 30 to the 35. And look at him churn out to the 39-yard line. Boy, Derek Ayers, sophomore halfback from Compton, California, simply would not be tackled.
Well, that's a good omen for UCLA to have Ayers return that kick in such an aggressive manner. You'll see him bring the ball up the field. He's not going to quit even after he has the first wave of tacklers hit him. Watch him pick his way through and keep churning his legs, and he fights for extra yardage and gets some help from one of his teammates there and gets UCLA out to just shy of the 40-yard line.
Here comes the offense off the sideline. It's the no huddle to the near side. It's Mike Wynn. Kevin Jordan is wide to the left. Shifting into the eye, it's Shaw and James Milner. Shaw is at the extreme left. Sharman Shaw's got the football as he comes, turns it inside at the 40 to the 41. And he's hit by Ron Childs, the senior weak side linebacker out of Kennewick, Washington. Now, we talked a moment ago about this comparison of quarterbacks. There's no question the sophomore Chad Davis winning this battle.
You know, and talk about the great quarterbacks in the conference. You look at Cook's numbers, and he's typically mentioned with the great quarterbacks, a notch below, they say. You see, he's not having his usual stellar day so far.
2nd and 7. Again, Jordan goes to the top of your screen. Wide to the right at the bottom is Mike Wynn. Play action. Going for it. Jordan, and he overthrows him. Coverage by Torrey Hunter. Now UCLA. It was not a great first half by any stretch of the imagination. 4 consecutive punts, and then Bjorn Merton missed a field goal. Darren Shager had a punt blocked, and that pretty much was it for UCLA. Adams and Ayers come to the near side for UCLA.
Very key 3rd down for UCLA. Even early in the 3rd quarter, they have to establish some offensive continuity.
Cook pressured. Now will just go down. Nothing doing. Dwayne Sanders and Don Sassa with great pressure.
Well, you know, J.J. Stokes is not in the ball game, and Kevin Jordan, number 4, is being double covered, and UCLA doesn't have any other options right now. Washington State defensively is so quick and so good in the secondary, they can cover UCLA's other receivers.
Now the disappointed Wayne Cook trots to the far sideline. Darren Shager is back on to punt it away. His last punt was blocked and down at the 1-yard line. Jay Dumas back at the 12-yard line for Washington State. I think the Cougars had too many men on the field. There's no flags down. Dumas is calling for the fair catch at the 14. A lot of miscommunication with Washington State's punt return team. But none of the officials saw it. 42-yard punt. And from the 14-yard line, make it the 15. That's where the Cougar offense will begin. Now, Washington State in the first half, they went 85 yards for their first touchdown. And then on their final possession, following the block Darren Shager punt, Hicks banged in from a yard out 1 play later.
Okay, see that there? 1-yard return there. I mean, 1 yard is a pretty nice drive.
Is that what you call a short field?
Yeah, that's a real short field.
From the 15-yard line, first down. And this time, Chad Davis is going to taste what it feels like to go down in a hail of blue and gold jerseys. Donnie Edwards led the charge. His 2nd sack today. He's got 6.5 now in 3 games.
Well, you know, Jameer Miller has gone to the NFL. Donnie Edwards is trying to pick up the slack and become the sack master at UCLA. Well, the Rastafarian man comes around now and makes his sack on Chad Davis. You know, he grew up as a Catholic and has become Rastafarian and is growing the dreadlocks and the like, and there he gets in and makes a nice sack on Chad Davis.
Yeah, man. 12:38 to play in the 3rd quarter. Straight ahead it goes. That's Sparks. Derek Sparks told me last year he just loves to run the ball inside. Is that normal for a running back? Don't most normal running backs like to take it and go to the outside?
Well, I think it depends on the kind of running back you are. I mean, some guys are the darting quick guys who love to get to the outside. But guys like Sparks, 220 pounds, you know, he doesn't feel right unless somebody's banging on him. He wants to get in there and kind of go like a pinball, bounce off a few guys, and that's when he knows he's doing his job.
3rd and 13. The ball now at the 12-yard line. Kennedy, Carpenter, and Adams are the wideouts. Davis complete out at the 16-yard line. Abdul McCullough took Albert Kennedy out of bounds. And way short of a first down, and that will bring on George Martin. And Mike Price's Cougars are going to have to unload the football.
Well, the UCLA fans are starting to show a little bit of life, some noise here, trying to get the UCLA Bruins fired up to get their offense going.
Here's our first look at Paul Guidry today. He was 3rd in the conference a year ago, 29 returns for 303 yards in '93, second only to Kenny Easley's 336 yards. Could it be 15 years ago Kenny Easley started here? Guidry. He's got it at the 43. Boy, great downfield coverage by Washington State's punt coverage team. The tackle made by James Darling. And it comes with 11:10 to play in the 3rd quarter. A flag is down on the far side at the 45-yard line. Probably a face mask, Rod.
It looked like the Washington State players were around the headgear of Paul Guidry.
And indeed it is, says referee Jim Springer. So with the clock stopped, we'll step away. Early here in the 3rd quarter, Washington State 14, UCLA nothing.
It's time for friends to fly free on Southwest Airlines.
Wake up and smell the coffee.
And people are friendlier than ever. Just make reservations at least a day in advance and buy your round-trip ticket at Southwest's regular low unrestricted fare, and a friend flies with you, free, anywhere we fly.
Joe, Dad, what do you think?
Friends fly free on Southwest, the low-fare airline. Call 1-800-I-FLY-SWA.
It was the most bizarre thing. All of a sudden, we plummeted 8,000 feet below the Earth's surface.
And then there were these talking camels and kings and queens.
The elevators didn't go up or down, but sideways like that.
And then I said, Bill, look, those people, they're floating.
And then there was this light, you know? And you could see it all the way from outer space.
It's different on the inside, too. Luxor, get into it.
Oh, you got it! Hey, Dad! Whoa!
On September 30th.
Hey there! We've been waiting for you.
The vacation is over.
I need your wife to get me down the river.
And 200 miles of raging, roaring, thundering adventure begins.
I cannot row this big water. I cannot do it.
The River Wild, rated PG-13. Special sneak preview tonight.
14-0, Washington State over UCLA with 11:10 to play in the 3rd quarter. From the 49-yard line, here come the Bruins. Sharmon Shaw in the backfield along with James Milner. There is Wayne Cook. And he has had a very lackluster afternoon here at home at the Rose Bowl. Jordan and Mike Wynn are the wideouts. That's Shaw. Chad Eaton on the stop. Boy, UCLA's yardage has been tough to come by. Cougars have not allowed a touchdown now in 12 quarters, dating back to the last game of the '93 season.
And that last game was against the Washington Huskies in the Out Cup in Seattle. They shut out Fresno State. Kept them off the touchdown board anyway.
If you just joined us, Washington State came into this ball game #1 in the nation against the rush, giving up only 19.5 yards a game. Cook coming near side. Jordan. Torrey Hunter on the coverage. Now you wonder if that was a misfire on Cook's part or whether Jordan just cut off the pattern, which UCLA coaches told us yesterday that has happened with some consistency this year.
Well, it was apparent that they had problems with that against Nebraska. There were a couple of times when Wayne Cook was very demonstrative about his receivers breaking off patterns. It's not surprising that it's happened again this week.
Ayers, Jordan, Quinn, and Adams. 4 wideouts for the Bruins on 3rd down and 7. It's caught by Mike Wynn, and out of bounds he goes at the 43-yard line. Singor Mobley covered him.
You know, J.J. Stokes has not been in here in the second half, and I assume that is because the thigh problem he has tightened up. You know, you would expect him to play early in the ball game when he's loose and warm, but after sitting through halftime, it may be too difficult for J.J. Stokes to play. Plus, he was not all that effective, Phil.
Used pretty much as a decoy throughout the first half. Darren Shager is on to punt it away. Torrey Hunter standing back at the 10-yard line for Washington State. Look at the Washington State line there. 10 guys coming, and here they come. He gets it away. Good punt. Hunter's going to let it go. And it dies again inside the 10. 3rd time today that Darren Shager has had a punt die inside the 10-yard line. Chris Anderson covered it. 9:41 to play in quarter number 3.
An ordinary beer can, barely alive.
Gentlemen, we can rebuild it. We have the technology. We have the capability to make the world's first bionic can. Coors Light will be that can. Better than it was before. Taller, thinner, silver.
Next on the Coors Light Channel.
Watch USC football all season long on Prime Ticket. The Baylor Bears visit the Coliseum to take on the Trojans tonight, live at 7.
See us.
Breyer Chrysler Jeep, your minivan headquarters, announces its huge year-end minivan clearance sale. This isn't one of those only one in stock sales. We've got hundreds of loaded brand new minivans to choose from, with prices starting at just $15,995 after rebate, or super low 3.9 financing, and special leases available for 24 months. Discover why more people choose Chrysler minivans over all the others. Hurry into La Brea Chrysler Jeep's huge year-end minivan clearance sale at the corner of 4th and La Brea, just south of Melrose.
9:41 to play in the 3rd quarter. UCLA trailing Washington State, and the Bruins, Rod, without their superstar.
Yeah, J.J. Stokes has not been much of a factor today. See him right there. He does not look like a guy who's going to return to action in the second half. He's been a decoy most of the day. He's got a thigh bruise, and it's really painful. He can't bend that left leg fully, so he can't run full speed. So don't expect to see him in the second half.
First down, Washington State at their own 5. Here comes Kevin Hicks. Grabbed around the neck and dropped. Rod Smalley led the charge.
Smalley's making a very fine transition to the inside linebacker spot after having been an outside linebacker last season for UCLA.
Well, with Nkosi Littleton and Carrico Quinn gone at inside linebacker, Smalley a natural to fill one of those spots, and he, as you say, he's done a terrific job.
Well, for a guy who's playing with wrists that is sore all the time because he had 2 broken wrists in his past.
Now we've got a flag down, going to go against Washington State.
Offense. After this is to the goal. Repeat second down.
Now we have just now received official word, Rod, and that is J.J. Stokes will not return today.
Well, you know, that's not surprising. And with that thigh bruise, you start to wonder just how long will that linger on this season for him.
Washington State, 3 wideouts to the top. Ford, Kennedy, and Dumas. Straight ahead it goes. Kevin Hicks again. George Case and Saleh Isaiah. Hicks now on the day, 10 carries, 35 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
You see Donnie Edwards giving Hicks his helmet. It's always good when you hit a guy hard enough to make his helmet come off.
Look at those bell ringers.
Bell ringers. Whatever.
Getting juiced.
Nah, you just rip the guy's helmet off.
Now the crowd comes to life on 3rd down and 9. Davis up and over and overthrows his receiver. Albert Kennedy, the intended receiver, out at about the 30-yard line. Great coverage by Andy Colbert, the sophomore right corner out of Muir High School right here in Pasadena.
His mother is a librarian. I'm sorry, UCLA grad. He replaces Carl Greenwood over there. His mom is very pleased that he went to UCLA. He'd been considering USC and some other places.
Here's George Martin. He is on to punt it away. This will be his 7th punt of the afternoon. Entry at the 47.
UCLA should get really good field position out of this, Phil.
And look at the Bruins. They've got 10 guys there looking to block this punt. Low snap. Here they come, and he just got it away. Short punt will be down to the 30-yard line. Derek Ayers almost blocked that punt by Martin.
Well, he might have got a piece of it. He might have gotten some of that at all. I mean, if he didn't get all of that, I wonder how he missed that, because he was all over that kick. Take a look here. You'll see him come into your picture. Ayers, 25, right there. Oh, how did he miss getting all of that one?
Only a 23-yard punt.
You know, he didn't quite lay out there, or he might have caught the punter's foot as well.
That's the best field position that the Bruins have started to drive today at the Washington State 30 from the I formation. Shaw and Milner the setbacks. And Shaw to the 17-yard line. Senor Mobley on the stop.
Yeah, Sharman Shaw has been quiet so far, but this time he gets some real good blocking. Over here, you're going to see these guys really do some nice blocking and open things up for him there, and Shaw's going to take advantage of it. You see the hole there? He's going to find it right to the left. Good blocking, gets out there. Good job by the left side of that line for UCLA.
First down, Bruins at the 16. There's the inside pitch, and again it's Sharman Shaw. This time it does not fool anybody, namely Mark Fields.
That goes in the books as a pass, a shovel pass.
Shovel pass to Sharman Shaw.
You know, with J.J. Stokes out of the ballgame, Sharman Shaw becomes so much more important for UCLA. He's got to pick up yards, running the ball, and catching the ball for UCLA to score points today.
Second down and 10. Now the Bruins shifting into the I. It's Shaw at the extreme left. Showing blitz. Here they come. Slant over the middle, and Cole Jordan can't hold it. It was low, but a catchable ball.
A catchable ball, and UCLA got the right coverage and the right play, and Torrey Hunter, number 24 for Washington State, allowed Jordan to get inside. Washington State got the free safety out of the middle, and number 4 Jordan has a clear path to the goal line with this post pattern, but he can't hang on to the ball that was thrown a little bit low.
Now it's third down and 10. Wynn, Jordan, and Brian Adams, the wideouts for UCLA. From the shotgun. Shaw. Intercepted. Chris Hayes has got it. To the 40-yard line. He needs one block. He's running out of juice and down at the 13. James Milner caught him from behind.
Well, they were all running out of juice, including the official. But what a heck of a play there.
Chris Hayes took that tip pass off the fingertips of Sharman Shaw and brought it back 68 yards.
Well, Wayne Cook had problems right from the start. He wanted to throw the screen pass, and he looks to his left, and it's not there, and he's gonna try to force it, and it doesn't happen. A tip ball there by Milner. Hayes comes over, picks it off, and then he just outruns everybody. You see him from this angle, outruns everyone except for the official who you're going to see show up here later in the play. What a heck of a play by Chris Hayes, 22.
What a turn of fortune. Flags fly at the 13-yard line where Washington State is set to put it in play. There's Chris Hayes. That's the guy I was talking earlier. He's the smallest linebacker on this team at 6 feet.
Ball start.
Just over
Offense.
200 pounds.
5 yards. First down.
Now you look at the turnover situation thus far. UCLA, look what they did a year ago. They were plus 19. They led the nation. This year, they're minus 3. And namely because they've got a defense this year that's young and inexperienced that isn't forcing turnovers.
And most of their defense is in the NFL right now.
Frank Madu ran into Shane Jasper, who bent him backwards. Boy, it appeared as if UCLA was just about set to take it in.
The ball carrier.
It's what you call a sudden change when you're in position to score, and all of a sudden the turnover happens, and now the other team is in a position to score. UCLA's defense has to answer the call and push Washington State back, because if Washington State gets another score, that's 3 scores ahead, and that's going to be real tough for UCLA.
Carpenter wide to the right. Dumas slanting to the inside. That's Madu. Sets up the screen nicely. He's going to go in. Touchdown, Washington State. To play in the third quarter. It's 20-0 Cougars.
Well, the Cougars set up the screen very nicely. You see the lineman out in front of 34, Madu, blocking down the field. And there you see Madu use his quickness, and he cuts right behind the last block to get into the end zone. And Washington State now goes ahead 21-0.
And it comes with 5:59 to play in the third quarter.
Investing. It sounds simple enough until you get into it. With thousands of investment choices, it's easy to get confused. Wouldn't it be nice if there was someone you could talk to? An expert who could show you the way? Well, there's a Great Western Financial Securities Advisor at your local Great Western branch. And that's just a few doors away.
Excuse me, Shuddy! Ow!
In the NFL, there's only one sports drink, and it's gotta be Gatorade.
The AirTouch starter plan includes 20 minutes of cellular calls a month for less than $1 a day. And this AirTouch flip phone is only $149 while supplies last. Call 1-800-AirTouch.
College football is being brought to you by Great Western's family of companies, $37 billion strong. And by Gatorade Thirst Quencher. When you're thirsty, it's gotta be Gatorade.
That's the situation. Let's go down on the sideline and Paul Sunderland.
Well, frustration everywhere on UCLA's sideline, particularly with quarterback Wayne Cook. Last year, 18 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions. So far this year, 3 TDs. That was his 5th interception, trying to get it done when it's not there. You know, UCLA's offense has been moving the football this year very successfully. Last year, they averaged 32 points a game. This year, only 21 because of very unfortunate turnovers just like that. Give some credit to UCLA's defense for playing so well and so determined, at least keeping UCLA in the football game. Back to you.
Now the numbers on Wayne Cook, 10 of 22 for 87 yards as Tony Truant gets set to boot it away. The sophomore from Seattle will bring it to the near side. It's Jim McElroy at the 13-yard line. Nope, it's Derek Ayers. Out to the 28-yard line.
Ayers on the return.
And that's where the Bruins will put it in play. Next weekend, our Pac-10 game of the week will come to you from across town. We'll be at the Coliseum here in Los Angeles, as USC, led by Rob Johnson, will take on Danny O'Neill and the Ducks of Oregon. That's a week from today, 6:30 Eastern Time. The USC Trojans and the Oregon Ducks. The Pac-10 game of the week right here on Prime.
You hear me? Keep her up there.
Now you're down 21-0, 5:54 left in the third quarter. I wouldn't say, Rod, it's exactly time to panic, but you've got to get into the end zone.
Well, they need a good drive, and they can't panic and simply try to throw the ball because Washington State will tee off on them.
Cook chased out, and Dwayne Patterson knocks him down. Dwayne Patterson, 6'1" senior from Oakland, California, suffered a broken collarbone in an automobile accident during the offseason, but certainly no ill effects from that collarbone today. He has been all over this UCLA offense.
Well, he likes to play against UCLA. He had a huge game against UCLA last year. Look at what he did. 2 forced fumbles, a fumble recovery, an 89-yard interception return for a touchdown to go along with those 2 sacks.
Second down, call it 11. Cook over the top he goes. Pass intended for Ayers, and it's incomplete coverage by Ron Childs.
Well, UCLA simply isn't making the plays right now. Ayers was out there, and when you're down 21-0, you got to have a spark. Somebody has to make a big play for you to give you life, and Bob Toledo is hoping that Wayne Cook can be that man, but he just missed Ayers on a play when Ayers was wide open.
Now you see Terry Donahue looking on at his quarterback. Wayne Cook came into this ball game a 63% passer. Jordan is put wide to the left from the shotgun on 3rd and 11. Again, heavy pressure, and he's going down again. Don Sassa, the 4th sack of Cook on the afternoon.
Well, you know, there's a little bit of panic in UCLA. They called 3 straight passes that time, fueling the sense that they really couldn't run the ball. I think they really need to try and do something to slow down this rush, even though they're down 21-0. Look at all the Washington State guys, 5 of them, 6 of them teeing off on Wayne Cook, and you cannot throw the ball when you have 6 guys relentlessly coming after you.
What an afternoon for that man, Don Sassa, the nose tackle for Washington State. Shager to punt it away. This time, plenty of time. Not particularly long. Jay Dumas, a fair catch called for at the 42-yard line. And that's where Washington State will bring the offense on with 4:26 remaining in the third quarter. A 33-yard punt.
Well, that man, Terry Donahue, doesn't get a lot of credit for what he's done over the years here at UCLA. You know, you tend to forget that when he started here, he was a running game coach. They ran the veer back when they had Wendell Tyler, Theodis Brown, James Owens, and then he changed himself. He became a passing coach and has attracted great quarterbacks and great receivers, and they're going to need a great performance by their quarterbacks and receivers in this third and fourth quarter.
First down, Washington State at the 42. To the near side it comes. That's Derek Sparks. He's dropped by Shane Jasper. Now scores around the Pac-10 conference today. Arizona went to Palo Alto and dealt out the Stanford Cardinal 34-10. California came from behind to beat the Sun Devils 25-21.
And Washington with a huge victory over Miami, knocking Miami's 58-game winning streak short. Iowa dropping it to Oregon. Oregon's big in that game, and Baylor and USC go a little bit later tonight.
And you pointed out an amazing number. The Hurricanes of Miami, 58 consecutive wins at the Rose Bowl, and the Huskies end it today.
That would be the Orange Bowl.
At the Orange Bowl. Thank you. Second down and 6 from the 46. Straight ahead, there goes Sparks. And it takes Shane Jasper and company to bring him down. Now, you talked in the second quarter, Rod, about Derek Sparks, number 5, the junior right halfback for Washington State, and how he just loves to pound it up inside. And we're seeing a good example of what he does when he gets the football inside today, running between the tackles.
Well, he's going to get a chance to do that for the rest of the ball game because Washington State wants to shorten this ball game now, bleed the clock. And this is also a good test for Washington State's offensive line. It's a young line, 4 new starters, but they're playing very well today.
George Case, Chad Davis, either a quarterback keeper or a mishandled snap. I'm not certain on 3rd down and 3. And they're going to call a timeout and measure it as the ball is moved to the 48-yard. I think he got the first down.
This is a planned play. You see that Chad Davis looked up and saw there was no one over the center, McCloskey, and he just got right behind him and tried to pick up the first down.
Doesn't get much closer than that. It's a first down for Washington State. Now warming up there is UCLA's backup quarterback, Ryan Bean, the sophomore from Simi Valley, California.
Keep in mind that Wayne Cook really got knocked around a lot in the first half, and he may be a little bit groggy and just not as effective. We saw him really miss Derek Ayers very poorly on a pass the last series.
Sparks once more, this time inside the 45 near the 44. George Case and Saleh Asea. Now we go back to a year ago. Last year, going into their fourth game, the Bruins defense had forced 11 turnovers, Rod. This year, they've got only 3, and they have yet to force one this afternoon.
Well, it's a difference in so many ball games. The more opportunities you have to score, the more likely you are to score. And UCLA has had fewer opportunities in short field positions this year. Washington State, on the other hand, is doing exactly that with their great defense, creating short fields.
Wide to the right is Chad Carpenter. In the slot to the right, Kearney Adams. He had the 42-yard catch in the first quarter. Straight ahead it goes again to Derek Sparks. Now Washington State wants to simply chew the clock up. Other scores around college football today. Nebraska a 50-point favorite, 70-21. Florida State in the second quarter leading 13th ranked North Carolina 14-7.
Colorado knocking off Michigan with the Hail Mary at the end there, 27-26. Penn State, and they're looking like one of the top teams in the country, maybe the top team, 55-27 over Rutgers.
Are they going to play a game out of Happy Valley this year?
They like the home cooking.
Third down and 6, the ball at the 44. Davis looking left, going left, intended for David Spence, and he overthrows him at the 10-yard line. Spence, a senior walk-on, has never caught a ball at Washington State. Oh, did he come close right there.
Well, had he caught that one, that might have been the knockout punch for UCLA this evening. Davis just barely missed his receiver out there, Spence.
Now George Martin is on to punt it away. Paul Guidry standing back at the UCLA 8-yard line. Washington State's punt cover team has played exceptionally well, not only today, but in their first 2 victories as well. Look at that punt return team, punt coverage team set up. They've got 5 guys around the football as it rolls out of bounds at the 11-yard line.
Well, Washington State coach Mike Price told us yesterday that this was a business trip for his Cougars, that he wanted his team to understand that coming home for a lot of these players meant that you had to focus and get a win. It wasn't good enough to come down and play in front of your family and friends and go back home after having been whooped.
Wayne Cook is trotting back on. He will continue as quarterback of UCLA, at least for the moment.
Well, I really think UCLA needs to have a good drive, and it doesn't matter if they run the ball some and get some screens. I mean, we've got the entire fourth quarter to go, but they need to have a good drive and get a score.
Sharmont Shaw. Out across the 13 to the 14. Now UCLA's offense this afternoon. 11 possessions, 45 plays on the afternoon, and just look what they've done with those 11 possessions. 8 have ended in punts, a turnover, a missed field goal, and 1 drive at the end of the first half. Ended on a block punt. From the eye, it's Milner and Sharmont Shaw. Play action. Cook going for it all. And somebody misfired. Intended for Brent Brennan. He took it to the outside. Cook delivered it to the inside.
Well, there's just that sense that UCLA is a little bit desperate right now. And I really believe that if you get a drive going, and I know Washington State is really taking away a lot of what UCLA can do, but trying to go deep from your own 15-yard line right now doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Now it's 3rd down and 7. Here's in the slot to the left. Cook is going down for the 5th time. Dwayne Patterson once more.
A man from McClymonds High School in Oakland is sending out shouts to the folks back up in Northern California. You'll see 86 on the left of the screen. He's going to whip his man. He fakes him to the outside, gets inside. He is so quick. He reminds me of Dexter Manley.
And that is the final play of the third quarter as Dwayne Patterson registers his third sack of Wayne Cook on the afternoon. We'll be back with the fourth period in a moment.
It's time for friends to fly free on Southwest Airlines.
Wake up and smell the coffee.
And people are friendlier than ever. Just make reservations at least a day in advance and buy your round-trip ticket at Southwest's regular low unrestricted fare, and a friend flies with you, free, anywhere we fly.
Joe, Dad, what do you think?
Friends fly free on Southwest, the low-fare airline. Call 1-800-I-FLY-SWA.
Most things in this world aren't big enough to handle 7 feet 2 inches, 310 pounds.
And I ordered the big breakfast.
How does that feel?
Oh, watch your head, Mr. O'Neill.
There is one notable exception. The Big Slam from Pepsi. One ice-cold liter of Pepsi big enough to handle the biggest thirst.
Ain't life grand?
First, there were 8 weeks. Plenty of time, you said. Then there were 5 weeks. No hurry, you mused. Now it's less than 3, and counting. The Honda 94 clearance is almost over. All good things must come to an end. But then, you already knew that, didn't you? Timing is everything. At your Honda dealer. Tick, tick, tick.
I used to get so hungry playing ball.
You? What about me?
Home run hitters always eat more.
Now at McDonald's, there are more delicious extra value meals for just $2.99 each. With large fries and a medium Coca-Cola, they'll satisfy any big league appetite.
Yeah, well, maybe you and I were hungry, but nobody eats like Gordon.
Hey, didn't you guys leave me any?
What you want is what you get at McDonald's today.
3 behind us, 1 to play. As we begin the fourth period, Washington State 21, UCLA nothing. 4th down and 12. The ball at the 9-yard line for UCLA, and Darren Shager is going to punt it away. For the 8th time in the afternoon, it's Jay Dumas standing at the midfield stripe. At the 48, fumbles the football. I believe the Bruins have got it. And they're going to unpile them. Bruins say they've got it.
Well, the Cougars are walking away like the Bruins indeed have it.
Now you've got 5 officials all over the football. The Cougars still say they've got it. Nope, the Bruins say they've got it. Give it to UCLA. Ted Nowacki recovered it. First turnover by Washington State today.
Well, Dumas just loses the ball here. He has 36 Milner bearing down on him, and he just drops the ball. And then you see it's a loose ball in there. And when you're at the bottom of one of those piles, there's no telling what would happen.
Boy, rarely do you see Jay Dumas muff a punt. But Nowacki recovers it for UCLA, and Wayne Cook is coming back on. 21-0. Cougars over UCLA with 14:47 to play in the game. Avery Anderson. He's a junior wideout from Riverside, California. He's in the ball game wide to the right. In the slot is Ayers. From the shotgun come the Bruins. Now they're going to get a delay of game. So instead of 1st and 10 now at the 42, it's got to be 1st and 15 from the 47.
Now, that's real odd. You know, you get a change of possession and you're coming from the sideline onto the field. You really shouldn't get a delay of game penalty in that situation. I'm sure Terry Donahue was very frustrated by that.
Avery Anderson again wide right. Ayers again in the slot. Now Sharmon Shaw shifts over. Same play. Double wide outs to the bottom as well. Screen sets up. It's caught by Jordan. And oh, is he wrapped up at the 45 by Chris Hayes. The third quarter notes are brought to you by Great Western.